It's on. Cool.
Here we go. Hey, friends. Welcome to It's Oil About You, November 16th. Here today for our third Friday of the month, talking about various business topics. So we do that I saw some people signed up for the webinar, and one of the questions they asked was like, how to do this as a business. And I just wanted to remind everybody that the third Friday of every month is where we talk about various business topics and go over, we've done a lot in the past. So I'll also include with the replay today, the playlist of all the things we've talked about, how to have a party, what's an LRP. Like, we've done so many topics to help you guys build your business and to get excited about sharing doTERRA and using doTERRA and learning about doTERRA. And this topic today we're talking about is conquering fears and facing those fears when it comes to being in this business, and how to set goals and how to get excited and release those fears. One of the things that came up at our retreat that we did in Costa Rica was a women's retreat, and I know that we don't have just women here. Scott and Vincent, you guys are amazing. But one of the things that came up was fear, F-E-A-R, is false evidence appearing real. So we get afraid of things that we, haven't tried before, that seem somehow in our heads overwhelming. And I just want to let you guys know that it's normal to be afraid of certain things or to have a little bit of anxious feelings when it comes to maybe sharing oils or having a party or feeling like you need to know all things about oils before you can actually run a successful business. And I don't want you guys to feel that way. I want you to feel like, number one, you're part of a team, which you are, and you can always come here and ask a lot of questions. And also that, that you're learning and you're sharing what you love. We're not selling. So there's nothing to be afraid of just by sharing what we love. We do that anyways, I'm like, oh my God, I have this is just grabbed this randomly. I have this glass water bottle. It's amazing. I love it, and I don't, just this is what I use and it's the best and I love it. We do this all the time, especially as women and even as men too. I mean, maybe Scott, you have a specific tool in the tool shed that you're like, this is the best ever. And we're already sharing stuff that we love on a regular basis, whether we realize it or not. So I want you guys to kind of get into that mode too and not worry too much about needing to know all things, just sharing what you love. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, Scott and I. So thanks for being here, Scott. I hope you're having a good day. Wait, I'm going to unmute you.
I can unmute. I just like to keep it quiet. Thank you very much. Okay. This is my favorite way to start Fridays. And I've got to give a shout out because this is actually the first time I've seen Jenna on video in like 2 weeks, because she's been out in the middle of Peru somewhere and just having a blast. All I got was one text message, maybe 3 text messages the whole time. It was weird. It was a weird 2 weeks. I'm not used to that.
Yeah, I know. I've been following Jenna's whole journey, all her live videos, all of her amazing pictures. And the funniest one was, Jana, you're the bomb blend. Oh my gosh. So Jana has a blend. It's for now ever going in history. So she was in Peru and she has a roller blend that she made, and like it says the bomb on it, which means like in English we say like, oh, that's the bomb. It means like it's amazing. So correct me if I'm wrong, but she was in Peru and going through the airport security, and they found her roller blend which said the bomb on it. And she, poor thing, I hope that you're not too traumatized, and that I'm glad you're all back in one piece and everything is good. You're not in shackles, you're smiling. So this is good, but just one of those funny essential oil stories that you'll never forget. So just don't label the B word on anything, on any product that you travel with ever. This will also go in my tips for traveling. I know I always say like, oh, put your oils in here and you have this container, but the labeling will also be very important too. So that was kind of funny now, but I'm sure it wasn't funny in the moment. But we're so happy that you're back and that you had a great time. Cool. So one of the first things I want to talk about, and there's Marisa's on and Vincent is on. So if you guys have any really specific questions or specific fears or specific things, goals that you're working on, let us know. We can make this a bit more interactive. But 2 of the fears that I put on here, which number one is one of the most common fears of humans in just general. And then the other one is one that
you don't want to swallow it.
Oh, no, wait, Marisa, you are not muted. I'm going to mute you. Okay. So these are two common fears that I think that people might have. Scott, you can share some too. If you guys have any ones that you want to share in the comments, let us know. But the first one, like I said, is one of the biggest ones for most people, is speaking in public. So I think people often think that when they become a doTERRA wellness advocate and they're wanting to build their business, that they somehow need to become this like amazing public speaker and need to be able to like stand in front of people and deliver this like great message and like motivational speech and have all of their ducks in a row and things like that. And I think that could be really, really common for people to feel and to feel nervous about. And I just wanted to share a little bit on that. So like, for me personally, like speaking in public is my job. Like I've done this for the last like 6 or 7 years. But in the beginning, when I first started doing it, I look at some of the videos before and the things that I've done, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I really like, sometimes I was like, my face was like this and I was trying to talk and like keep my eyes open, and I'd have to memorize the speech. Like I would literally print out the what I wanted to say for each of the fitness videos and things like that. And I would memorize it, and I just watch them now and I like totally look like a robot, which is not bad. It's just that everybody has to start somewhere. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was just like, you don't have to be the best public speaker in order to share oils. You don't even have to, you know, need to get up in front and like stand up in front of someone to tell them about oils. The first time I ever talked with people and my friends about oils, not when I had my first party, but I guess it kind of was my first party, but I had some friends and we were just using oils. It was my boyfriend's cousin, and they got a bunch of friends together and we literally just sat around a table, pulled out my oils, and we were just using them and smelling them and I was just teaching them based on what they asked, you know, because I didn't really know. And I had the book out and I had the app, and we were opening up oils and smelling them and just sharing them. And they're like, what's this one? What's this one do? And sometimes I knew and sometimes I didn't. And then we just kind of opened up the book and opened up the app, the Modern Essentials app and the Aroma Tools book, and just kind of like opened it up and like taught ourselves and learned. And so that was a really powerful way for me to not feel like I had to be like the leader of the pack. And like, you know, I was just kind of the one who brought the oils there, and we sat around a picnic table outside in the garden and just smelt different things and used them and kind of all learned together. And I kind of shared my experience on how I use certain oils. And then this one, Wild Orange, for example, like how I use it, and I smell it, I put it in the diffuser, you know, and then just deciding, okay, like, well, how can we learn together, and maybe what their needs might be, and looking things up in the Modern Essentials app and in the book. And that was really helpful. But Scott, how did you feel when you first started having parties or talking with people about oils? Did you feel like you had to, I know you have an interesting story about not wanting to do oils classes.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the biggest things I can point out to people on how great it is to be on a team. So about for the first year or so that I was sharing oils and actually having classes at my office, Jana was gracious enough to drive from LA down to my house, which with no traffic is an hour and 15 minutes. And there were days she was on the freeway both ways, like 3 hours. Because I was absolutely terrified to talk in the class because I didn't think I knew everything. I didn't know enough, and I didn't want to say the wrong thing. So she would constantly keep going. And after a while, this is one reason why I call her mom, is after a while, she came down to one class, and I said, okay, so you can start in 10 minutes. And she goes, no, you're teaching. So she treated me like a son, which really pulled me out of my shell and stuck me in front of the class. And then I realized it took that kind of a moment for me to realize that you don't have to know everything at all. That's what the books are for. That's what that's what your team's for. That's what everybody you come across and you meet in this amazing family we have in doTERRA is rely on them to do that on the heavy lifting. Just be yourself and talk about what you love about the oils. That's it. Everybody else can ask questions. You can go to all the references and everything we have, but just share what you know. That's it. They don't have to know everything. Just share what you know.
Yeah, and that's what I put for the second fear would be like feeling like you need to know everything before you can talk about anything. And I think that's one of the things that's a little bit challenging, because people feel like, well, if I'm coming over to talk about oils and someone has a question that I don't know, what do I do? You know, like I'm going to freeze and I'm going to be like, I'm not sure. But that's why the books are amazing. That's why the Modern Essentials app is amazing. And one of the things that I've learned too is that you don't always have to know the answers. You'll never know all the answers, but you can be a reliable source to teach people how to find them, you know? So you can say like, hey, you know, I'm not really sure, but I have this app and I have this book, let's find the answer. And people will start coming to you, not because you know everything, but that you're confident in your ability to figure things out. And you're confident in the fact that you can find a way. And like Vincent and I, he's on the call here. We just had a chat. He's one of my builders. And so we were having a call and he asked some questions and I didn't know the answer. So I put it on a list of that I need to ask a few people about what's kind of going on in Germany and if we can find some classes or things that are going on there, because I don't know. I don't live in Germany. I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to find, you know, someone who does know, or maybe I can find a class that's happening or some people that are talking about doTERRA in his area that he can meet up, because I'm 6 hours away from him. So until I can get out there early next year, I can't always like be there in the flesh and I don't really know what's happening. But I think it's cool just to know that, you know, you don't have to know everything when you have people that are on your team that are wanting to build. They should just trust in your ability to figure things out, and that's enough. And that's completely enough, because I know that I have my call with you, Scott, on Mondays, and we were trying to figure out how to do the back line or the cleanup. So I was going to move some people around, and you know, I wasn't really sure how to do it, and he wasn't really sure too. But we kind of got on together and we clicked around, and we're like, oh, this is how you do it. Okay, this is the link. Okay, this is what this looks like. And you know, we kind of bounced ideas, not ideas, but bounced. He shared his screen with me, and we were kind of looking at different things to see how this looked like. And I did it, and then I accidentally made a mistake, so I had to go back and correct something with doTERRA because I like clicked the wrong button. And so we're just kind of like learning together. And it's not that I go to Scott thinking like, oh my gosh, he knows everything, so I just have to ask him and he's going to tell me. But he's part of my team and he helps me so much just figure it out or find a way. And then in turn, when people ask us these questions or I ask him these questions, we're also learning, because next time somebody asks him the same question, or Vincent, next time somebody asks me from Germany, like, hey, do you know what's happening here? Do you know if there are any classes that are going on, or like any continued education courses? I'll be like, yeah, because I had a builder, Vincent, he asked me this question, and here's, you know, what we found. And maybe there's also something more that we can discover together. So I think that's really, really awesome about being on a team. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, it's a big thing. It's really big to reach up, and Jana is my absolute resource. She's just phenomenal at research, and obviously she's got daughters that are doctors. So if you have a question that's a little bit more in that realm somewhere, I should just start a little blog that just says fire it off to Jana. You just fire off an email or a text, and pretty soon here comes the answer back, which is great. Or where to go get it, which is even better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things too that is great, because you not only want people to know that they can ask you for things, but you also want to teach them on how to find it too. So part of being a good leader and a good team member is not like, you know, having to babysit. And, you know, in the beginning, it's okay. You give a lot of answers and whatever helps. But it's also important to say like, hey, I don't really know the answer, but I definitely know you can find it like in the app or in this book, or, you know, I definitely know you can find it on doTERRA.com when you go in the advocates resources. Check in there and let me know what you can find, because you're also building up people's trust in themselves, because that's a big thing too, is you want to make sure that it's not just like you're tagging them along on like this leash. They might be, I don't want to say it like a dog analogy, but today I was walking outside on the river and there were like dogs and people playing all the time. But it's like, you know, you can let there's certain dogs where like, and nobody is a dog here, I'm just saying, but you can let go of the leash and they like kind of go with you and they like do their thing and they smell the flowers over here and then they like come back and maybe you throw the ball to them and you're like, maybe you can find it over here. And just kind of like, instead of feeling like you're so attached to the person to give you this answer, it's also important because we can't help everybody all the time. You know, and you'll know that too. There'll be a lot of people that'll come to you, which is one of the reasons why I started this webinar. I just couldn't answer all of the questions I was getting on social media and all of this stuff. I just like, let's just all come in one place and talk about all the things that you guys are wanting to work towards. And this is now a resource that you can also refer your people and your team to. We have all the videos saved. We have everything on a playlist, all the videos ever, and then also all the builders videos like this one where we're talking about like business stuff. Those are all saved too. So you always have access to those. You can just write to me and let me know if you need them, and you can share this out and have people come and things like that. We have the groups on Facebook, the Certified Oils Daily group that Adrian has, which is a huge resource for me. I'm always putting people in that group, and if I don't know the answer, I'll go in and say like, hey, just because Vincent is on, and Marisa too, like, hey, at Marisa, at Vincent is looking for a solution for this. Does anybody have any any resources or any experience or any tips or anything that you can give. And then someone will respond. And then now it's like, I don't really even need to be the one that's asking the questions for them anymore. They know that they can go in the Facebook group, they can ask, they can get good information. And it's learning by doing, you know, so teaching people how to do that too is really, really helpful as well. And then what did you have any other fears, Scott, when you were, before we switch into like setting goals, did you have any other fears in the beginning when you first started with doTERRA or anything like that? I'm sure.
Well, actually, I'm a very private person, so just putting myself out there is absolutely a no-no to me. And Jana, again, Mom has drugged me out of the dark side and tried to bring me toward the light a little bit in ways of helping. So, and her and her daughter Dixie have been absolutely, or Dee have been absolutely phenomenal at helping me with that. And I still don't have to be on it. So I know you were working with Vincent this morning and things like that. So Vincent, we'll get you on Jana's Instagram, my Instagram, and a few others, and help you spread the word that way a little bit. And then it's a great place to show who you are without showing you. I mean, actually, it was my first picture on Instagram of me, and I'm still having weird feelings about it. But it's a great way to show what you love, Vincent and Marissa, is who you are by the things you post, whether it's quotes or books you love or pictures you just enjoyed and stuff. I don't take selfies when I travel. I take a picture of where I was and put it up and just maybe say a few things about what you loved about it and what it meant to you. And then people connect to that rather than the selfies and the poses and all those kind of things that you'll never see me doing any of that. Absolutely.
That's my job. That's mine and Jana's job. But
yeah.
That's the truth. I love that you say that, because oftentimes people think, I have to be on social media, which I think is important. I think you need to be on social media for sure. But it doesn't need to be that yourself, like your person, is your brand. It could be your message and what you're into and what you're sharing, that, you know, your Instagram account is doing amazing and you have a lot of interaction and a lot of people on there that are learning amazing things, including myself. I love reading what you're posting and I'm learning through what you love. So it's not like, you know, your selfies are teaching me something. It's actually like your pictures and what you're sharing and the knowledge and, you know, the little blurbs about lemon that you recently posted or about, you know, other oils and things like that. So that's really important for people to get to, is especially on my team, because that's my job and that's what I do. And myself as my person is my brand, but that doesn't mean it has to be like that for everybody. You don't have to be posting all the selfies with your oils or like your oil pulling. I don't know. You guys know I were doing the oil pulling challenge and I'm oil pulling and putting the clove oil in my mouth and like showing what I'm doing as a person, but that's not necessary. And it's not, everyone finds their own way and you don't have to do it as a way of another person unless you feel like compelled to, you know. But then the first thing that Vincent and I, sorry to use you as such an example, but we just talked about it and I don't think that you care, but I thought as soon as I saw Vincent's Instagram account, I was like, oh, this really reminds me of Scott's. It's not pictures, it's not selfies, it's just pure education, great information, good pictures. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like they are kind of going in the same direction in terms of what they want to share and how they want to share it and how they want to communicate with the world. And I think that's really, really great. One of the things that Jana wrote in the comments, which I love, is that the fear of rejection. Like if you put it out there, you might be rejected. That's a big one. And I will just put it out there now. It will happen. You will tell people about oils and how amazing they are, and you'll be so excited. And I shared this with Vincent too on our call, like my aunts, for example, like family, you know, she like can't even with oils. Like if she walks in and the diffuser's on at my mom's house, she's like, turn this off. It smells disgusting. I don't like this shit. This is like, she just is so, and this might be some internal stuff she's dealing with, I'm assuming. But she just like doesn't like them. They don't work. They're not great. Like you will have rejection from people that you know, that you don't know. You'll have parties where people will come and like nobody might sign up, and you just have to just accept or expect it in general. You know, there will be times when people won't, you know, you'll tell them about something and you'll spend, you know, a couple hours explaining to them and giving them samples and, you know, explaining how good they are and how they should use them, and then they won't use them and they'll forget and they'll, you know, ignore your texts and your calls. Like this happens all the time. So I think when you just expect that that's going to happen, it's not so scary then when it actually does. And I've been working with a friend of mine, not necessarily on essential oil business, but she has a coaching business, like a fitness coaching business, very similar to the business I ran when I was in California. So I've been helping her a lot. And one of the things that she's been dealing with is like the fear of people saying like, that's too expensive, you know, and she keeps telling herself over and over and over again that like there's nobody that's going to pay this amount for what she's offering. But we've done the math, we've crunched the numbers, and I'm like, girl, like this is a deal for them. Like what you charge per hour versus like, you know, all of the extras that they're getting, and you're already discounting it like 40%. Like, look at, like, this is, you know, you have to own what you're worth. And she kept having in her head, like, these conversations, they're fake, false evidence appearing real, these conversations with people in her head, in the, whatever, when she's walking in the shower, when she's planning, when she's doing things, of her going up to people and saying like, hey, do you want to sign up for my program? You know, it's 8 weeks long and it's about $1,000 and whatever. And she kept hearing people in her head saying, no, that's too expensive. That's too expensive, you know? And I'm like, you need to like alter, we talk to ourselves all day long. So our self-talk is huge. And if you keep recycling those conversations of you going in and having a party and someone saying, this is like not working and it's not good and the oils are too expensive and oh my gosh, you know, then you're going to have those experiences because you're putting them out there. So a lot of the mental work and stuff that I'm doing with her is like, stop, like have this conversation, imagine it, close your eyes, whatever. You're going up to this person, you're explaining your program to them, you're telling them what, you know, what the price point is, and they're saying, awesome, like, that's great, that's an awesome deal. I'm so excited to be a part of this. And I know that might sound like, oh, it's a whatever, London. It's like the same thing as like writing down the things you're grateful for to put yourself in a good mood. But there's a reason why those topics keep coming up and up again. There's a reason why there's so much science on self-talk and how it actually fades into, you know, the way that you live. The way that you talk to yourself is the way that you present yourself to the world. And if you keep thinking, they're not going to come, you know, these people are not going to show up, they're not going to buy anything, it's going to be horrible, what am I doing, I'm a failure, like all of these things, which are natural and they're going to come up. Let's start to shift that mindset and shift that self-talk, because that will really help a lot. Because if you rehearse these like scenarios in your head of things going bad, they're going to present themselves in real life. That's just the way that it goes. I read a lot of books about, you know, a lot of professional athletes and a lot of really successful entrepreneurs. And a lot of things that they said is like, in their brain, they just rehearsed over and over again, things going amazing, cultivating that abundance mindset and making sure that even though when things went bad, it was okay, it's going to happen, you know, you want to shake hands with challenge and shake hands with change and make sure that like, you're not thinking that you're living in like La La Wonderland, like bouncing on clouds with a unicorn horn and like everything's beautiful, even though I would prefer that this was the world as is. But that there will be things that kind of, you know, ebb and flow. But if you constantly just put that out there, that things are going to, you know, go well and that you're going to have abundance, and you're not thinking like it's kind of like that abundance versus scarcity mindset. If you always think like, ooh, there's nothing there, no one's here, nobody's interested, no one's going to buy, no one's going to like listen to me, nobody cares what I'm going to say, then you're just going to pull those people in that fulfill that mold. But if you think, okay, like, I don't know everything, you know, I'm going to do my best to learn, and I'm going to find those people who, you know, are okay with the fact that I don't know everything, and they want to learn with me, and they want to be part of my tribe, and they want to, you know, try this business and try these oils and get excited about it, then you're going to find those people that attract it. It's like a magnet. It truly is. And so one of the things in terms of get out there and get your no's. Yes, Jana, that's totally true. Get out there, get the no's out of the way, because they're going to still come. And then you can just like, you'll knock them out instead of a no, like stopping right in front of you and like, and then you focus on that no and you're staring at it and it's just like becomes so much bigger than it actually is. You can just, you know, expect that they're going to come. That's part of the business. That's just part of life in general. It's just going to happen. You know, when I first started writing for a newspaper, I remember getting like one horrible comment and focusing on that for like literally a month and a half, like crying over it and like, oh my gosh, and not even looking at all of the really good comments and like the good feedback that I was getting in general. So just, yeah, be very, very open to the fact that no's and rejection will happen. And then when it comes, it's not so scary after all. And maybe the first time is a little bit scary and a little bit of a downer, but in the end, you know, there's going to be them. And you just have to, you know that's not you. It's not like you're a bad person. You don't have to take it personal. It could be, you know, it's just not their time yet. Maybe they'll come around again. Maybe they won't ever, but that's okay. There's billions of people in the world and there's more people being born every single day. So don't worry. Your people, the people that are going to, you know, be part of your team, that you're going to be able to share these amazing oils with, your amazing experience with, they're out there. And if you haven't met them yet, you will meet them for sure. But when it comes to talking about just a few goals here, especially in the beginning, and I shared this with Scott too, like wasn't sure how much time I could set aside for oils and like what this would look like for me or whatever. So I just stopped stressing about like needing to spend hours and hours and hours that I just didn't have, you know, going towards something with like, you know, the mindset that like, oh, I need to spend more hours. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to try to tell one person a week about oils. And that could be, you know, a person on the train, a person on the tram. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be somebody that wrote me on social media. It could be someone on an airplane. And when I just set that goal of like, okay, I just want to tell one person a week about oils, it ended up turning into 2, 3, 4, 5 people each week. And when you set your goals, just don't put so much pressure on yourself. Of course, you want to do things that, you know, force you to kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit and force you to like, you know, take action. It's not like you're just sitting back and like, okay, I told my one person, check, I'm done. I'm going to forget about it. But set like small little goals for yourself and small wins that you can easily reach and perhaps also overachieve, because that was really helpful too. And I shared that with Scott and we talked about it and he's like, yeah, you know, share that with your team. And so every week when I would talk to certain people, I would say like, hey, did you talk to one person, you know, this week? Or we did too, I think it was before 9 a.m. and before 9 p.m. I don't even remember exactly what it was. Scott, was it again? Remind me.
It's actually something Jana gave me. Jana, why don't you explain it, because I want to step on that.
Go for it.
So it's 10 by 10.
Yes.
So they text you in the morning at 10 and tell you what their goal is for the day, and you ask them if they need any assistance, help, you know, with that goal. And they're supposed to text you by 10 o'clock at night to let you know how they accomplished that. And, you know, or if they're still working on it, or maybe they need a little more advice. But if they do that for, you know, a few weeks, they start developing some pretty amazing habits.
Yeah, and it was really awesome. I did it with a few people on my team, and it was like really, really cool to see that they were, you know, sometimes I wouldn't necessarily like forget, but I'm like, oh yeah, I got the text. Awesome. Like they're working on it. And then eventually it would be like, I just asked for like one goal, and then they would send like 3 or 4. And then in the end, they'd have accomplished all 3 or 4. And so in the end, I started sending mine over to some people in my team too, because I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, yeah, I have my own goals and I write them down on my paper and I check them off, but like something about sharing them with others is really, really powerful. And so people within my team too, I would share them like, hey, here are my goals for today. These are like, you know, little things. Like I need to go drop off these samples with this person. I need to, you know, plan the topics for this webinar for next month. Like the stuff that I was already going to get done anyways, but sharing the fact that like, I'm working on something too, you're working on something as well. And at the end of the day, let's share if we were able to accomplish it together. So that's a really great way and a great tool too, to really see who those builders are in your team. This is a good one because you can, you know, especially someone will say, yeah, I'm super in. I signed up as a wellness advocate. I got the kit. Like I want to build. And sometimes you'll like reach out to them like, hey, do you want to have a call? Crickets, you don't hear anything. Or you write to them and you're like, hey, like, how's everything going? Like you don't, sometimes there's people who sign up and they really talk up that they're like going to be the best builder that doTERRA has ever seen. Like this has happened to me too. And then you never hear something from them. So this is a great way to kind of have your boundary and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Before 10 a.m., send me your goals. And after 10 a.m., send me, you know, how it went, and do this for the next 10 days or the next couple of weeks. And see, you know, if they're really serious, they'll do it. If not, you won't hear anything from them. And then it's a really easy way to say, okay, no time goes to them anymore. I'm going to focus on the people who are actually doing the work. So it's actually really cool because if it works, it's really motivating to set those goals. And I was really motivated by people sharing this with me. And then if it doesn't work, you know, okay, I don't need to focus on them anymore. And it's a really great way to like weed through the people that don't deserve or, you know, don't deserve your attention and don't deserve your time. I think that's a really powerful one. So I didn't know that it came from Jana. So this is awesome. All good things, lots of good things. But I continue to use that. And now I do have my 3 solid builders. And there's some people that come in that I will work with a little bit first before passing them on to somebody else. But I think that it's a great way and it's a great tool to use, especially when somebody comes in, you know, promising that they want to do this, 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 and this. You can let them prove it, because if they can prove it to themselves and to you, then they can most likely prove it to others. And I think that's really cool. And yeah, so I'll just share quickly a personal goal that I'm working on at the moment, which is I'm a little bit, I don't want to say afraid, but like excited and like kind of nervous. So I'm working on doing an essential oils masterclass here in Austria. So we have one in Salzburg and one in Linz where I live, and then one like about 45 minutes from where I live. And I'm doing it with a friend of mine who actually is not on our team, but I met her in Prague when we were at Teresa Harding's workshop together. And she's been so helpful and so sweet and so nice. And she really knows my story, and she really thinks that people on her team would benefit from my story. But what we're doing is we're hosting a master class where people pay 17 euros to come. And we are each going to tell our story and like our story with oils for about 45 minutes. And then people are going to be able to make one roller ball and one spray. But I've never done something like this before. I've usually just had classes where people can come. And I think that this method is like really cool because it's getting people to kind of like financially commit that you know that they want to learn something. And then we're also, just so that you guys know what we're doing, like from a like logistic side. So they pay 17 euros to come. They get to hear what we have to talk about. They have the option to do a make and take. So they get to take stuff home. And then when they sign up, or if they sign up and buy a kit, then we bought some of the paperback Aroma Tools books that they will be able to purchase if they want to just purchase the book, or they can get it for free if they purchase a kit. So this is something new in a different format that I've never done before, but I'm looking forward to it to see how it goes. And Mrs. has been talking in public for 7 years, has to do this in German because my audience is going to be mostly German speakers. And while a lot of them will speak English more or less, I've made it a goal of mine to speak in German because I want to, meet people and talk to them in a way that's going to build that connection. And I want them to see like, okay, yeah, she's really trying her hardest to tell this. And I've told my story about hormone health and things like that. I've told that in German before, mostly to my doctors. So like when I would go see a different doctor, I would explain to them about my experience with being on the pill and having acne and blah, blah, blah. And I've explained it, but I've never, spoken it out loud. And so that's something that I really, really have to prepare for. So that's a goal of mine. Normally, I don't want to say normally I don't have to prepare when I speak. Normally I just have like an outline of what I know I'm going to go over. The slides kind of dictate what I will say. I don't really have a full plan of exactly what I'm going to say. But now I have to work on this because I don't know all the words in German. I have to build up my vocabulary. I have another 3 weeks. I have to make sure that, I know what I'm saying and that there's a lot of like, technical and medical terms in terms of detoxification and things like that I want to learn and teach myself. And so even though public speaking is like not something I'm afraid of, even though getting in front of people and sharing my story is not something I'm afraid of. Now I'm kind of taking it to the next level because I'm living in a country where this English is not the main language, and I really want to connect with those people even further. And so I have to do, or I don't have to, I've chosen. So the girl that's with me, she even said, she's like, if you want, you can do it in English and I can like translate for you. And I'm like, no, because that's not getting me out of my comfort zone. That's making it easy for me. And like, I don't want to do things that are always easy. Like I want to do this. I want to step out of my box and I want to share and I want to connect with these people. And of course I'll mess up. And of course there'll be words that I'll forget. And of course I'll probably have the grammar all over the place. Because if you've ever tried to learn German, it's really, really challenging and the grammar is really intense. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to go out and do this and I'm going to try and I'm going to try my best. And that's just to be open and honest. Like we always have goals. There's always things that are a little bit scary and a little bit kind of, make us feel a little bit like, I don't know. But for me personally, that's what I'm working on at the moment. But to put you on the spot, Scott, what goal are you working on at the moment, or something that you would like to share?
Well, if you really got to look at my desk, there's like 7 yellow pads all over it, and they're all in different worlds of parts of my life. So I've got a remodel I'm doing on my sister's house, so that's a big thing right now. But if you want to take a goal for doTERRA, the part is I'm a big follower of Simon Sinek. If you guys don't know who he is, he's the one that wrote the book Find Your Why. When it comes to
we love him, or I would say I love him for sure. If you guys don't love him, you should love him. You guys will love him. If you I get on his YouTube channel and just start watching everything. Half the time it runs in the background. But my main goal right now is to start surrounding myself with people who believe what I believe and stop trying to convert non-believers. The person in the room that says essential oils don't work, it's a fraud, something like that, thank you for coming, but I have no time for you. I'm not going to spend my life trying to convert you into seeing things my way. It's like having a political discussion with somebody. You see things differently, just that's the end of it. So I'm going to surround myself with people who not necessarily are doTERRA people,
but people who believe that natural things and there's better ways for us to take care of our body and be preventative in the way we treat ourselves and having time and living life to the fullest and being fulfilled in all the things you do. I want to surround myself with people like that and just not only feed off the energy, but feed my energy into that kind of a world. That's what I want the world to be like. That's what I'm going to try and turn it into. I don't care about the people that want to row the different way in a boat. That's fine. Just do your thing. I don't have time for that. That's my goal, is to start separating. I'm one of those kind of people that just feels like I should have to prove it to you. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. You either believe what I believe and we're going to have an amazing trip and a journey, or go do what you want to do. I have no ill will towards you, but I'm not going to waste my time. So my world, right, one of my big goals is just surround myself with people like that and find those people. That's me stepping into communities and groups and little social media things and all those things that I'm terrified of being around. I don't like doing that kind of stuff. And so I'm trying to push myself into those worlds, because I think the benefits I get out of it is I'm starting to try, like London said, I'm trying to create my world, surround my people that like that. I want to thrive in that kind of a world, not try and worry about bringing people along by a rope and dragging them, trying to get them to come to me. So I'm just going to surround myself with people like that. That's my big goal.
Love it. That's a great goal. I love it. Good stuff. I didn't know that, and I didn't tell you that you needed to tell a goal, so I put you on the spot there. But that's really cool, and it's good to share your goals with other people. Yeah,
that's a big reason why I love my Fridays. My Fridays start with this every day. Every Friday starts with this. And I love, London's one of my first calls on Monday. So I start my week with London and I end my week with London. And that's kind of like, woohoo! I'm always on a high.
You don't see all the ebb and flow and madness during the week. You get like the fresh and you get the, I made it, I did it. But all the stuff during the week, yeah, I was telling Scott too, like right now I'm staying in a hotel for the next 3 nights, 4 days, because I'm living with my boyfriend and he works from home and he has meetings and stuff from home, and I'm trying to work from cafes and all over the place. I'm like, forget it. I need my space. I need to be here. And so he saw me on Monday when like, okay, I had all these like lists of things, whatever. And then on Friday I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this week was crazy. I'm in a hotel. I have my space, like all these things. So yeah, you get me at the, I'm ready and I did it, which is cool, which is good, because then I always want to come to you and be like, okay, I did it. Somehow we made it. And that's always really exciting too. But yeah, so we went a little bit over today, but it's no problem, because I think this topic is really, really, really important. It of course goes with the doTERRA business, and we were kind of specific in our examples here, but I think this topic is really for anyone and everyone. So I'm for sure going to put this as a public video that anybody can watch on YouTube, because I think this is really good on releasing fears and setting goals and just kind of putting yourself out of your comfort zone. So yeah, I put Simon Sinek in the chat box. I'll put it down in the link below. We didn't talk about any particular or specific oils or things like that today, so the links down below will be quite limited to just if you want to sign up, if you want to refer friends to come to this webinar, and then of course checking out Simon Sinek, because he's a really great speaker, has a lot of amazing YouTube videos, and I'm always encouraging people who are focusing on goals and have on a mission that you don't need to consume media from like the Kardashians or like the like all the what's going on and who's dating who and who's who and like what's the latest drama. Like, listen to YouTube videos, listen to awesome podcasts and things that are really motivational. They're going to keep you focused on the direction that you want to go, because I think that's really powerful and so much better anyways. So anyways, yeah, so thank you, Scott, for everything. Thank you, Marisa and Vincent, for being here live. And Jana, she had to jam out for another meeting, but it was so great to see her all in one piece and happy and alive and well after the bomb scare. And for those of you watching later, I hope you found this useful and motivating, not only in your doTERRA business, but just in your life in general, because it's really, really, really relevant to everything that's kind of going on around us, no matter your business goals or your life goals or your relationship goals and things like that. So thank you again, Scott. Thank you guys for joining, and then we'll see you next week. Looking forward. Bye.